distance, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. We are one. Working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing and rejoicing, getting to know each other, taking risks, opening up, questioning, seeking, searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, listening, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, being forgiven through grace, creating the beloved community together. We are one. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst. I'm Reverend Michelle Buhite, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns, which I offer to create a truly inclusive and brave space for all to live into the fullness of their identities, are she and her. We're so glad to have you in this service, whether you're here in the building or live streaming or watching later on YouTube. Together, in all of our places and spaces, we create beloved community. A reminder that those of us who are here in person can support and love one another most tangibly, I suppose, by being masked when you are in the building. And as I say every week, if you'd like to be unmasked, I invite you to come on up here and preach, because this is the unmasked zone. So we'll work it out. You let me know. Throughout this month, we are accepting donations to support the work of Hearts and Hands Faith in Action, a neighbor helping neighbor ministry that we have been involved with for many years, and we are one of their coalition churches. Our member, Ron Palmieri, mentioned a little bit about the work of Hearts and Hands, and one of the perks of being a coalition church, in addition to supporting a ministry that is congruent with our own and being able to lift them up and help, is that also means that as our members need the ministries of Hearts and Hands, which is driving to appointments and things like that, that as a coalition church, we get nudged a little closer to the top of a very, very long waiting list. So it benefits everyone. There are envelopes on the back table if you want to designate your giving today to Hearts and Hands, or you can mail a check into the church. And as you see, just make the checks payable to UU Amherst with Hearts and Hands in the memo line. We'll be accepting donations until the 31st, and then on Tuesday, November 2nd, Camilla, our bookkeeper, will be writing a check. And so there is a timeline here, folks. You can always give to them. They will take your money just any old time. But for us to do it in one lump sum, it's coming up. As we gather, we acknowledge that our church is built on occupied land that once belonged to the First Nations people of this region, the Haudenosaunee. And the Haudenosaunee is like an umbrella group for what used to be known as the Iroquois Confederacy. And the Seneca and the Tioga, I think I've messed up the letters there, are our most close neighbors. We acknowledge that we have not earned the wonder of this land. And we acknowledge that it is our responsibility to be good stewards of the land that once belonged to someone else. And it is our job to be in relationship with the land and with those neighbors. And we can help to make that so. I've asked Mickey to light our chalice this morning. We light the chalice, which is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, offering these words from Reverend Scott Taylor and the Soul Matters worship team. Today, we return to the shelter of each other, to arms that hold us in the midst of the storm, to voices that help us hear our own, to hearts that accept us for who we are. May we be for each other a source of safety and sending, May we offer each other both comfort and challenge. May this place of peace lead us to share peace with others. And so we begin our worship. Thank you, Mickey. It's been said that Unitarian Universalism is the religion that puts its faith in you, trusting each individual to engage in the spiritual journey and to reach our own conclusions about spiritual matters. We do that in beloved community as we support one another in faith and friendship. In that spirit, this congregation several years ago created a covenant of how we would strive to be with one another, a covenant being a sacred promise. I invite you to join me in speaking our covenant together. Together we promise to gather in compassionate community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world. Each week, we affirm our willingness to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world. And I wonder what that looks like. How do we do it? It's more than simply showing up, although that is a great place to start. It's more than being a leader or a follower or simply writing checks, although those are certainly crucial parts of the wholeness we create. Even living a faith that expresses itself in love and service doesn't quite capture the depth and breadth of the wholeness available to us. I've shared on several occasions that I was blessed to learn from Seneca elder and lineage holder, Grandmother Twyla Nitsch, through her Wolf Clan teaching lodge. It was the early 90s, and I was finding a deep resonance in the medicine path, learning how to follow the medicine wheel to promote balance in my own life. And as a person with no known ancestry related to the Native American community, I worried about cultural appropriation. Were these teachings mine to claim? Grandma Twy assured us that what she taught to non-natives were earth ways, not Seneca ways. The earth is mother to all, with lessons for all who are willing to open their hearts and see with inner vision. And then I read The Rainbow Tribe by Ed Eagleman McGaugh, who noted the similarities among indigenous people across the world, and particularly how Celtic traditions mirrored Native American understandings of practices. As someone with Celtic ancestry, I felt that kinship, and with respect for the similarities and the differences, I immersed myself in the teachings of the medicine wheel. There are many insights to be gained through this tool, but what I want to bring to you today are the 4 ways of seeing that are represented by the totems at each of the cardinal directions. These ways of seeing promote wholeness in ourselves, and if we embrace and embody them and pass them on, they can foster wholeness in our children and potentially the world. And so we begin like the rising sun in the east, the place of new beginnings, inspiration, and illumination, the home of the element of air. The totem animal in the east is the eagle, who soaring high above teaches us far-seeing, promoting perspective and vision, as in being visionary. As we move to the south, and our chapel is set up directionally, so that was east, that way south. The south is the place of the noonday sun, of passion and work, and we celebrate the element of fire. The totem animal in the south is the mouse, who teaches us to look very closely and pay attention to details. The south is also associated with tricksters like coyote, raven, and crow, who teach through reversal. In the West, the place of the setting sun and the element of water, we learn to flow and to rest. The black bear teaches us to look within, to engage in introspection and reflection. Completing the circle in the north, we enter the time within time, the mystery of full dark, the dream time. In some Native American cultures, the north is embodied by the white buffalo, and indigenous people around the world honor this direction as the home of the ancestors, where we look beyond our usual ways of seeing and knowing, and we enter the mystery. The medicine wheel encourages wholeness by reminding us to get a broader perspective with far seeing, to look at things closely, to look within and trust our intuition, and to look beyond our usual ways of knowing and enter into mystery. Honoring the directions, their teachings, and ways of knowing is part of my daily practice as I seek balance and wholeness for myself. That necessarily impacts how I encounter the world, potentially creating opportunities for others to seek and find balance, which impacts how they encounter the world, spreading the opportunity for wholeness beyond what we can quantify. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, who may or may not have been a real person, is attributed with saying, "If there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace among neighbors. If there is to be peace among neighbors, there must be peace in the home. If there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart." The lesson for me is that every teensy bit of wholeness that I am able to cultivate in myself has the capacity to encourage wholeness well beyond me. This morning, we are going to encounter people who discovered and cultivated nuggets of wholeness in themselves, and who tended that flame within to bring more wholeness to others, fostering more compassion and justice in the world. You might recognize that last portion of the sentence as this church's mission statement: to challenge ourselves and the community to foster more compassion and justice in the world. We can only give from the wholeness we have funded in ourselves. So let's begin with the Hebrew scriptures and the story of Moses, who may or may not have been a real person. When we are communicating deep truths, historical veracity is not a requirement. We learn through stories, through context, not necessarily through content. In case you're not familiar with the story of Moses, let me tell you a little bit about him. After a rather miraculous escape from being murdered as an infant, Moses, an Israelite, is raised in the Pharaoh's household. As a young adult, he leaves to go back among his own people. One day, while tending sheep, he encounters a burning bush, and he hears the voice of God telling him that he, Moses, will be God's vessel to free the Israelites in Egypt. Moses has rather a comical response to this news, effectively looking around to see who God might be talking to. What, me? He tries to wriggle out of the responsibility, and God agrees that he can take his brother Aaron to help. Did Moses see an actual burning bush and hear an actual voice? Or was it more like what Megan Watterson describes in her book, Mary Magdalene Revealed? She writes, "Moses doesn't hear a voice outside him say from this fiery bush, 'Take off your sandals, for the place where you're standing is holy ground.' This is what he hears from within him when he stops herding his sheep for long enough to recognize this miraculous sight. Not the vision of the burning bush, but the spirit that moves him to acknowledge the presence of love that has a message for him. from within his own heart. The burning bush, then, is symbolic of anything in our lives that disrupts us from the habituated routine, the monotony of our everyday, and allows us to return to the presence of love. Throughout this week, I hope that you will notice when things disrupt your plans. Is that a burning bush? Should I pay attention to this? Or is it just someone annoying me? There's so many possibilities, but pay attention. So you're probably more familiar with the rest of Moses' story. It's the stuff of movies, right? He becomes a persistent thorn in Pharaoh's side, demanding that the Israelites be released. Let my people go. Plagues ensue, waters are parted, and the Israelites travel to what they hope will be their forever home, all very cinematic. God called Moses to be a troublemaker so that an entire people could be released from bondage. In the video I'm about to play, Zoe Toby, who is the creator of the video and the singer, begins with Moses, and then he includes more recent holy troublemakers who have used the wholeness within themselves to create more wholeness in the world.
Oh, I am waking up to find my world between the dying and being reborn. I see what is and I see what could be. Can't close my eyes again and go back to sleep. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. How can I change our course? Just a lonely voice. Wish I could lose myself in all the noise. But if we all would rise, a generation proud with a mighty song, we could turn this world around. So fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Ancestors all behind, and before me every child. I bring the power of a long unbroken line. So when our time is through, I wanna know, did what we came to do for the future ones. So in our darkest days, may we all be strong and give our lives so life may go on. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide.
Church today. Be a pain. So I want to take a moment and clarify this being a pain business. If our efforts to work for justice arise out of anger or fear, we will propagate and intensify anger and fear of those and in those we confront. All of the people that we lift up as examples of effective justice work, whether that is climate justice, racial justice, social justice, or any other form of making the world a more loving and fair place, every leader who has made a positive difference has done so through nonviolent means. Violence is not just what happens with fists and guns and unjust legislation. It is what flows from us when our actions are rooted in anger and fear. If there is to be peace in the world, there must first be peace in human hearts. We are the seeds of wholeness that are planted to cultivate wholeness. It all begins with a change of heart in us. It flows from compassion for ourselves and for others. We learn to practice compassion here together as we hold one another in care. Let's pause for a time of quiet reflection to listen for that still small voice, however you name that. Spirit of community in which we share and find strength and common purpose. We turn our minds and hearts toward one another, seeking to bring into our circle of concern all who need our love and support. Those who are ill, those who are in pain, either in body or in spirit, those who are lonely or grieving, those who have been wronged. Holding in your heart the names of those needing love and support, I invite you to come forward and place a stone or a shell on the labyrinth in honor of the joys, concerns, and sorrows that you carry today, so that we may carry them together. part of a web of life that makes us one with all humanity, one with all the universe. We are grateful for the miracle of consciousness that we share, the consciousness that gives us the power to remember, to love, to care. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. Our Director of Faith Development, Angela, and I recently purchased a curriculum that can be used for all ages and stages of life. It's a series of short biographies of people who made a difference, entitled Holy Troublemakers and Unconventional Saints. It's by Deneen Akers, and we'll be drawing from these inspirational stories throughout the year as we continue to meet in multi-generational worship. I want to share with you the note from the author that can be found on the title page. She writes, "To all of the young holy troublemakers and unconventional saints in the making, may you find inspiration in these pages to do the right thing, even when it's the hard thing. Stand up for those who are standing alone. Work together for the common good, and have courage when the odds are against you. The future is yours to shape. Be brave. Cause a little trouble when necessary, and love with your whole hearts like the saints who have gone before you." I think that's pretty good advice, no matter our age. A Baptist minister friend in South Carolina remarked to me that social justice is the heartbeat of Unitarian Universalism. I would extend that to all of our justice efforts on behalf of the earth and all her inhabitants, human and non-human. We come from a long line of holy troublemakers, and we have a legacy to uphold and a legacy to leave. May we learn to engage the many ways of seeing, the eagle's far seeing, the mouse's near seeing and attention to detail, the black bear's ability to rest and look within, and the ancestor's gift of seeing beyond the physical and embracing mystery. May we continue to seek wholeness in all its various manifestations for ourselves, for our children, and for our world.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire
joining us in worship today. I hope you have been inspired and uplifted by sharing this time together. A reminder that you can support the work and mission of this congregation by leaving your financial gift in the basket at the back of the chapel, and also contributions for Hearts and Hands. Join me as we pray that this will click. There we go. As we affirm the abundance in our lives. We pick fruit from trees we did not plant. We drink water from wells we did not dig. This is as it should be, so long as we dig and plant for those who will come after us. And now we'll extinguish our chalice. I invite you to join me with these familiar words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Travel light and travel easy, till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. Sing it with me and to one another. Travel light and travel easy, till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. A benediction is a blessing, a way to close the sacred space that we have shared and to transition to our regular lives, knowing we are deeply connected even as we are apart. These parting words come from Robert Mabry Doss. For all who see God, may God go with you. For all who embrace life, may life return your affection. For all who seek a right path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step.